a lot of the things you say are really like, common sense. I feel like, it's crazy that it's can be so offensive in these days. Like it's almost like people are so they're so addicted to lies that the truth is just offensive to them. And you talk a lot about uncomfortable truths. What are like your top uncomfortable truths, would you say? Do you have like a list of, rules or
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I say ruffles feathers, but as they always say, a bomber only gets flak when it's over the target. So at first it was a little bit odd. Like I would spend a lot of time in the comments section reading them, looking at the feedback from people on my videos. And it's always either because it's true and it hurts their feelings,
Mhm.
or it's the white knight sort of characters, the guys that want to swoop in to sort of protect the honor of milady, and then they try to attack you as well because they think that it's going to win over the intimacy of the gals that hear or see them sort of chime in to support them.
Right.
But the main things that seem to upset them is when you say promiscuity is bad for women, men and women are different. I mean, like I could keep going, but those seem to be like the two big ones that really catch them. When you start talking about things like feminism is toxic, or it's not great for the gals, it really doesn't serve society. That seems to ruffle a lot of feathers. Another one that women hate a lot, and surprisingly, well, unsurprisingly, it's always heavily tattooed women. But when I say that tattoos are a sign of, it's a red flag, like it's a woman that you generally want to try to avoid. Tatted up women get very upset. They'll have their entire army of gals and the white knights come in and attack me in comments and stuff like that. Single moms, whenever I tell guys to stay away from single moms and to choose women that don't bring children to the relationship, that ticks off single moms, or guys that, white knighted for single moms. Those would be the main ones though.
So yeah, I love to dive into the promiscuity is bad for women because that was really kind of what introduced me to you, was that video. And I talk a lot about waiting, saving sex for marriage is the book, and it's really the whole kind of platform
Mm.
unintentionally that I landed on. But women will always say to me, well, I don't want to date a guy that's got a past sexual history either. That's disgusting. And I'm thinking, in all honesty, it sounds cocky to say, but like most women that I've encountered don't really care. They're more worried about the fact that I've made changes. I love Jesus and I'm headed in a good direction. And I heard you say in that video about, when men are more concerned about a woman's past, and men are more concerned about, women are more concerned about a man's future. And
Correct. Yeah.
honestly, I find that to be 100% true. And women don't like to hear that, especially if they have a past. But really, to me, it goes back to the fact of what men and women are controlling in a relationship. So a man controls if and when we get married. He's the one that proposes. So he controls the
Correct.
security. A woman controls if and when we have sex. So I always phrase it or pose it like this to women. I'm like, imagine if you met a man and you fell in love, you got engaged, and then you found out that he proposed to every woman that he dated before you.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel? And they're
Correct.
like, not that special, right? I said, well, that's how men feel when you're sleeping with everybody that you dated before them, because
Mm-hmm.
you were giving away the thing that you had control over. You were just giving it away. And now I'm supposed to be, not have feelings about that. And yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah, it really ruffles feathers when you try to explain to society that men and women are different, that women don't generally care about a guy's sexual past. They'll look past it if he's a strong provider and a virtuous alpha male that she wants to be with for the rest of her life, sort of thing. She looks at the guy as her hypergamous best option. Doesn't matter if he's been with two gals or 20 or 200, as long as he can provide. But men are success objects, right? So that's why women look at a man's future, but women are beauty objects to men. And it's always been that way. But I think with, society today, we've got modern, this modern version of feminism, which is trying to convince society, and especially women, that men and women are equal. They're the same. And if, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And that's one of the narratives that just doesn't sit with me. Like, I don't roll with that. So when I tell them, it's like, there's going to be consequences to your promiscuity. They have a very, very hard time understanding that, and they get upset with it. And it's usually the ones that have a promiscuous past, they get very upset with it. But at the same time, it's very difficult to sit down with a 22-year-old and say, look, your value to your future husband is going to be your beauty and the lack of intimacy that you gave away to other men, right? There's no guy out there that has read even a few lines of an Evo Psych, a blog, a Twitter following, even like a little snippet from like a Joe Rogan interview with one of these Evo Psych guys, that doesn't think for a minute that a promiscuous woman that's been with 100 guys is not disgusting. These women, in my opinion, are disgusting. And I think guys innately are repulsed by women that have been with that many guys, right? You don't want to share a woman with that many guys. Right. And if you're planning on having children, why would you want to share the womb that's been, used by other guys?
Right.
That's why throughout history, virginity was so valued, right, to men and society, and why they tried to protect it. It's just in recent times that they've lied to women and they've said, go out and have fun. Guys do it, so you should do it too. Right. And that's why we have the society. It really started with hormonal birth control, because, then you could go and have sex without consequences, right? Before there was consequences. If you had sex, you could legitimately get pregnant. Now it's like they can prevent that almost completely and very safely 99% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course, abortion is so readily available.
Yeah. And then that's the backup plan, which really isn't like a form of birth control. It's just something completely different. Everybody, debates the merits of it, but it's not birth control. Yeah.
So it's important for me to mention here, just my view, because it doesn't make it less wrong in God's eyes. I always been have to say that the sin is sin. There's consequences to sin, but the consequences for promiscuity play out very differently with men and women. There's plenty of studies to show that the women with the highest divorce rates are the ones with the highest sexual partners.
Exactly.
The lowest divorce rates are the women for 30 years. They're the ones that married with 0 to 1 partner. So that's 100% truth in what you're saying.
And it goes further than that. Like women that have fewer to no partners also have lower instances of depression, mental disorders, suicide rates. They're more successful, they're happier in long-term relationships. They've got a higher probability of pair bonding to a male in a long-term fashion, monogamously. They're also less likely, if there's conflict in that relationship, to say, that's it, I'm out, I'm going to get a divorce. Because, like a woman that's done that 50, 100, 200 times before, what's stopping them from doing it 201 times? They've already done it 200 times. They don't care. It's easy for them to get out. So you have a woman that was a virgin when you met them and got married or have kids, for example, that's a better choice than a woman that's been with the city block.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it is what it is. God can redeem any mistakes. If anybody's out there listening, it's not like God, you're done and you're never going to find a husband. We're just saying it does present challenges and there are consequences to sin, which is why God tells us not to do it in the first place.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.